Hello everyone, this is the last video for your geometry course. This is the final exam review, day 3. So the third time's the charm. I'm going to stop sharing my video and let's just jump right into it. Okay, so I will say day 3 is the review itself will look a little different than days 1 and 2. But the content covered is still pretty much the same. The skills you need to know are still pretty much the same. So number 1, it says B is between A and C. This is a line segment problem. Draw a line. Quit being stubborn. Actually draw the line. B is between A and C. So A, C, B is just somewhere in between. I don't know where. It says AC is 14. BC is 11.4. We want to find AB. Well, I can subtract 14 minus 11.4 will get me 2.6. So that means that AB is equal to 2.6. Number 2, classify each angle as acute, right, or obtuse. Then use the protractor to find the measure of each angle. Okay, so the first one, they ask us about AOD. So AOD. That one is clearly obtuse. So then we have to look at what's going on. Well, on the inside, it looks like it's crossing at about 165. The outside, it looks like it's crossing at about 15. So which one do I pick? We said it was obtuse, so you want to go with the 165. Yeah, the next one, they ask about COD. So COD. Now this one's kind of up in the air some. So let's find the measure first, and then we'll make our judgment on what kind of angle. So if I'm looking at where it comes out, it's either at 105 or the inside looks to be about 75. You can pick the inside 2 numbers or the outside 2 numbers to subtract. I think on the other reviews, I've done the outside numbers. So let's do the inside. You just take these 2. Well, take these 2 and subtract them. So 165 minus 75. So it's going to be 10. It's going to be 90. So this angle is 90 degrees exactly, which means it is a right angle. Let's find the measure of each of the following. So 3 asks us to find the complement of angle M. Angle M is the angle that's over here on the right-hand side. That's angle M. So complement. What does complement mean? It means they have to add to equal 90. So to get the complement, we would do 90 minus 26.8. Which would get us 63.2 degrees. That's the complement of angle M. Supplement of angle M for number 4. Supplementary angles add to equal 180. So we have to do 180 minus 26.8. It's going to be 153.2 degrees. Okay, so number 5, find the next item in the pattern. 1/3, 2/4, 3/5. Looks like the top and bottom are both going up by 1. So I'm going to say 4/6. We don't want to reduce. Usually I'm hounding y'all about reducing. But since this is a pattern, let's leave it be. 4/6 is the next item. Number 6, identify the hypothesis and conclusion of the conditional. Hypothesis, they want us to single underline. Conclusion, we want to double underline. What word signifies the hypothesis? Just so we get that word in our mind before we read the sentence. If. So let's see if I can find the word if in this sentence. A figure is a parallelogram if it is a rectangle. There's our word if. It's in the middle of our sentence. So that means the hypothesis comes after. This time the hypothesis is at the end. Because there's our word if. So there's our hypothesis. The conclusion has to be the part at the beginning. A figure is a parallelogram. That's our conclusion. Notice I did not underline in any form the word if. Our hypothesis is it is a rectangle. Our conclusion is a figure is a parallelogram. And for the next two, we have to use the 120 degrees to find each angle measure. So we have parallel lines here. I've said on the previous reviews, when you're told two lines are parallel, all obtuse angles are the same. So go through, since they give us an obtuse angle of 120, go through and fill in all your obtuse angles saying that they're 120. So 7 is 120, 4 is 120, 1 is 120. All obtuse angles are the same. If I want to get the acute angle, I do 120 minus whatever my obtuse angle was. So 180 minus 120 gives us 60. So all of our acute angles are 60. So angle 6 is 60, angle 5 is 60, angle 3 is 60, angle 2 is 60. And now let's see what they're even asking us for. We found way more. They're only asking us for 2 angles. We found all of them. But let's see. They ask us for angle 1. Well, we said angle 1 was 120 degrees. They asked for angle 4. We said that one was also 120 degrees. And we found all the others too. So number 9, name the postulate or theorem that proves L is parallel to M. So are they alternate interior angles, corresponding angles, alternate exterior, or same side interior? Well, what 2 angles are they? That's the first thing we need to figure out. What 2 angles are they? It says angles 8. I'll highlight them. Angles 8 and 6. What kind of angles are they? Well, are they on alternate sides of your transversal? No, they're on the same side of the transversal. So cross out alternate. Are they both in between your parallel lines? No, so they're not interior. They can't be same side interior. That means these have to be corresponding angles. Number 10, find the slope of the lines. Hj for H is 3, 2, J is 4, 1. Our formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's label our points. x1, y1, x2, y2. And then we can plug into our formula. So 1 minus 2 over 4 minus 3. It's going to be negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1. The next 2, we have to classify each triangle by its angle measures. And they give you the options: acute, right, obtuse, and equiangular. Those are the only 4 options we can use. We're not saying anything else. It's just going to be those 4. First, they ask us about DBC. So DBC. This triangle right there. It's got a right angle, which means this is a right triangle. Then they ask us about ADC. So ADC. The whole thing. Now for angle D, we've got to be careful because it says part of angle D is 31, the other part is 70. What's the whole angle D? Whole angle D is 101. That 101 makes ADC an obtuse triangle. I'll make that 101 just a little bit clearer. Okay, so there's page 1. Page 2, classify each triangle by its side lengths. So now we do want to deal with sides. 13, ask us about EGH. Well, that's going to be the whole triangle here. EGH. That's this whole triangle right here. These 2 tick marks right here mean that that side's 8, that side has to be 8. These 2 means that this is 3, so together this side is 6. So my sides of this triangle are 8, 8, and 6. 2 sides are the same, which means this one is isosceles. $14 asks us about H, F, G. So this triangle right here. H, F, G. Well, one side is 7.4, the other side's 3, and then the third side is 8. Are any of those the same? No. So this is scaling. $15, 2 angles of a triangle are given. What's the measure of the third angle? Then classify the triangle as acute, right, or obtuse. So I have to find the third angle and then say what kind of triangle it is. How do I find the third angle of a triangle? You add them together and subtract from 180. So let's do that. I guess we'll do it down here. 16 plus 34. So that'll be 10, carry your 1. It's going to be 50. Subtract that from 180. We get 130. So this other angle is 130 degrees. So would this triangle be acute, right, or obtuse? It's obtuse because it has an obtuse angle. Okay, 16. Given that PS, and as you're reading these, write in what it's giving you. So PS is 53.4. Write it in. QT is 47.7. And QS is 53.4. Find PQ. That's what we're finding. Well, PS and QS are the same. That means QT and PT have to be the same. So PT is also 47.7. Now, to get PQ, we have to add, or you could say multiply 47.7 twice. So 47.7 plus 47.7. It's going to be 14, carry your 1, 15, carry your 1. So PQ is equal to 95.4. Okay, 17. Write the angles in order from smallest to largest. So the smallest angle is across from the smallest side. Smallest side is 40.5. We go across from it. We land at R. So angle R is your smallest. Then we look for the next smallest. 45 is your next smallest. You go across from it, and that's your next smallest angle. That would be angle P. And last but not least, we've got this 57, and across from it is angle Q. So R, P, and Q are the angles from smallest to largest. Write the sides in order from shortest to longest. Now to do this, I need all three angles. So let's get this third angle. We have to do 46 plus 39 to get me, let's see, 15, 85. So subtract 85 from 180, you get 95. So this third angle right here is 95 degrees. Okay, now we can do our sides from shortest to longest. Find your smallest angle. The smallest angle is X. Go across from it, and where do you land? You land on Y. Z, YZ, not just Y, YZ. So YZ is my smallest side. Now for my next smallest angle, that's going to be this 46 right here. I go across from it. I don't know why I put a 1, it should be a 2. Go across from it, I land on XZ. So, or maybe you want to say ZX, it doesn't matter. XZ, ZX, whatever. And then that leaves me, last but not least, with XY as my largest. It's across from the largest angle, so therefore it's the largest side. Okay, moving on along. 19, we want to find X. Well, this is going to be a Pythagorean Theorem problem. Go across, there's your C. So 9 squared plus 40 squared equals X squared. 9 squared is 81. 40 squared is 1600. It's going to equal X squared. That means 1681 is equal to X squared. If I take the square root of that, that gives me X equals 41. So X is 41. Number 20 says find X, but this time we have to simplify the radical. So we're not going to put this as a decimal. We want a specific radical. So where's your C? It's right there. So set up the Pythagorean theorem. 6 squared plus 6 squared equals X squared. 6 squared is 36 plus 36 equals X squared. That's 72. And then, of course, I want to square root it. This is where the simplify the radical comes in. We're not going to say that that's whatever the square root of 72 is. We want to simplify. So what times what can give you 72? I'm going to say 2 and 36 because I just did 36 plus 36. So 36 goes into it twice. And then for 36, I know 36 is 6 times 6. Hey, there's a pair, there's a couple. Couples go out on a date. Singles stay home. So those pairs of 6s go out, the 2 stays in. That means x is equal to 6 square roots of 2. I'm done. I'm simplified. Case closed. (21) Tell whether each polygon is regular or irregular, and then concave or convex. Regular means all sides and all angles are the same. Is that what's going on here? It is. So this one is regular. Then concave or convex. Well, concave means it's caved in somewhere. Does this triangle look like it's caved in? No. So it's convex. Another thing that would tell us it's convex is that it's regular. Regular polygons are always convex. And 22 wants us to find ZV. Don't just tell me it's 2a. We have to find what a equals. But I know on a parallelogram, diagonals bisect. So 3a minus 7 has to equal 2a. So I'm going to move the 3a over. It's going to give me -7 equals -a, which means a equals 7. If I just divide the negatives out, I'll actually show it. I was going to try to skip a step, but no, I'll show it. Divide by -1, that means a equals 7. Didn't ask for a though, it asked for ZV. So we have to plug it in, ZV equals 2 times 7, which is 14. So ZV is equal to 14. (23) The Arkansas State Capitol building is a smaller version of the U.S. Capitol. The U.S. Capitol is 752 feet long and 288 feet tall. The Arkansas State Capitol is 564 feet long. What is the height of the Arkansas State Capitol? So what we did was we did length over height. This is the US, this is Arkansas. So now let's cross multiply. So 752 times x equals 288 times 564. That is a big number. I've been doing this in my head all morning. I can't do this one in my head. Let's do a calculator. 288 times 564. Let me make sure those are the right numbers. Yeah. 162, 432. 162, 432. Okay, then we need to divide by 752. So x equals, say, divide by 752. 216 on the dot. What? So how high is it? It is 216 feet. Okay, so there's page 2. Page 3. When the angle of elevation to the sun is 37 degrees, a flagpole casts a 24.2 foot long shadow. What is the height of the flagpole? So let's draw what's going on here. So we have our flagpole. There's our flagpole. When the angle of elevation to the sun is 37 degrees. So what that means is if I'm looking at the ground, if I'm on the ground, this angle is 37 degrees. When that happens, I've got a shadow of my pole. That is 34.2 feet long. No, not 34, 24. 24.2. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I have room to write around it. Okay. It wants to know how tall is the flagpole? What's that side right there? So everything I do has to be in relation to this angle. Well, the x is opposite of that angle. It's across from it. 24.2, that's adjacent to it. So if we think to our trig ratios, let's remind ourselves of what they are. Even though for the past 2 days, we've been using the same one. Let's remind ourselves of all of them. The sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. And the tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent. Okay. We're doing the opposite and adjacent here, so I need tangent. So the tangent of 37 degrees is equal to my opposite, I don't know it, over my adjacent, 24.2. So now let's solve for x. I want to get rid of this denominator. So multiply both sides by 24.2. That cancels, that cancels. I'm left with x equals 24.2 times the tangent of 37. Pull up your calculator and let's enter it. 24.2 times, to get tangent, you hit the trig button and click tan. And then 37. Before we hit enter, we want to make sure that we're in degree mode. So if I look on my calculator, it needs to say degrees up here. It does, so I'm good. Let's hit enter. 18.236. Now the problem says round to the nearest foot. So the nearest whole number means this is approximately 18 feet tall. $25. Find the area in terms of pi. So the area of a circle, our formula, not C, I want area. Come on. Area is pi r squared. Now, the 6 right here, that's not our radius. Don't try to plug 6 in. You're not going to get the right answer. That is our circumference. Not, what am I saying? Bleh. That's our diameter. To get the radius, I do 6 divided by 2, and that gives me 3. Radius is 3. That's what I plug in here. So pi times 3 squared. It's going to get me 9 pi inches squared. It says in terms of pi. So pi is in our answer. Okay, 26, find the circumference of circle K. So now we do want circumference in terms of pi. Well, our formula for circumference is 2 pi r. We already said it's the same circle K as 25. We already said the radius is 3. So let's go on and plug that in. 2 pi times 3. It's going to get us 6 pi inches. That's our circumference. Okay, 27. What's the lateral area of the prism? So lateral area of a prism. Our formula for that? pH. So our base, they actually shaded it in for us. They were nice enough. So I need to find the perimeter of this base. So 6 plus 18 plus 6 plus 18. It's going to give us 48 centimeters. The height is 12 centimeters. The height of the whole prism is 12 centimeters. So we have everything we need to plug in now. We're going to do 48 times 12. I'm thinking it should be 576. I just did that mentally real quick. Let's see. Hot diggity, it is 576. So 576 centimeters squared. That's your lateral area. Right. 28. Find the volume of the cone in terms of pi. What's our formula for the volume of a cone? 1/3 area of the base times height. So our base is a circle. To get the area of a circle, it's pi r squared. So pi times 9 squared gets you 81 pi centimeters squared. The height of the cone is 40 centimeters. We have everything we need, so let's plug in. So it's going to be 1/3 times 81 pi times 40. So let's see if I can do this mentally. 1 divided by 3, that's 27. Is it 108? Is it 108? Let's see. 1/3 times 81. No, not 108. 1080. I revised my guess. 1080. It is 1080. Sweet. 1080 pi centimeters cubed. Okay, 29. Points chosen randomly of WZ. Find the probability of picking a point on XZ. So we want to land on XZ. Got a little excited there. Okay, how long is the whole thing? The whole thing is equal to 10. So when we do these probabilities, remember part over whole. So the part we want is 5 plus 3, which is 8 over 10. That reduces to 4 over 5. So that's our probability, 4 over 5. If you were to put it as a decimal, that would be 0.8. If you do it as a percent, that would be 80%. Okay. Almost done. The last 4 talk all about this conditional statement. So we have to determine the hypothesis and conclusion of the conditional, write the converse, inverse, and contrapositive, determine the truth value, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so hypothesis. Well, let's read the statement. If an angle measures 123 degrees, then it is obtuse. Where is your hypothesis? It follows the if. So an angle measures 123. That's our hypothesis. That means our conclusion would be it is obtuse. That's a little way up there. Okay, so now we want to get the converse. The converse goes in the order of if Q, then P. So if an angle is obtuse, then it measures 123 degrees. So what do we think? True or false? If it's obtuse, then it has to be 123 degrees. That's definitely false. It doesn't have to be 123 to be obtuse. So no. Wrong. It's false. Inverse. Inverse is if not P, then not Q. So if an angle does not measure 123 degrees, then it is not obtuse. What do we think on that one? True or false? That one is also false. Just because it's not 123 does not mean it can't be obtuse. Then we have the contrapositive. The contrapositive is if not Q, then not P. So I have to flip the order and negate everything. If an angle is not obtuse, then it does not measure 123 degrees. If an angle is not obtuse, then it does not measure 123 degrees. That would be true. If it's not obtuse, then it can't be 123 degrees. That's certainly true. Okay, so that's the end of our review for the final exam. The final exam is tomorrow, I'm assuming, depending on when you watch this video. If it's not tomorrow, it's the day after. But the final exam is coming. Hopefully these 3 days of review have helped you feel more confident about the exam. And you're ready to go and knock it out of the park. So it's been a pleasure having you this semester in geometry. And if you don't remember anything else at all, I want you to remember this one thing. It's that you were created to do wonderful things and you are awesome. Always believe.